Hello and welcome to the Cliffing Compendium, the ultimate source of knowledge for those looking to send people over the edge. Here we'll teach you the ways each hero can cliff, along with the ideal locations on each map to cliff. We'll also be going over some tips and tricks to put your cliffing to the next level. Now before we start, we have to go over the heroes that cannot cliff at all. Gnosis, Taito, Trip, Ramsey, and Mozu have no way to knock an opponent over the edge, and therefore these heroes cannot cliff. Now, the following four heroes can cliff, although they are extremely situational and very difficult to perform, so I don't recommend using them. First up is Vidasi. Upgrading her E from a Foment of Prayer to Holy Gust can trigger a cliff by summoning an orb and then pressing Q twice, as shown here. Next is Paco, my personal main. Paco can cliff from level 1 with his slide, but I can't stress enough that you would need to find someone almost already falling off the edge to be able to knock them over like this. On to Beckett. This rapid-fire rocketeer can cliff with some explosive force. By upgrading her jetpack to Rocket Pack and then blast away, she can send foes flying, although positioning her correctly can be extremely difficult as you have to be both sprinting and facing away from the enemy to cliff them. Our last non-recommended is Zandora. With her Rainbow Dash upgrade, she can push people aside or into the void, although, and I kid you not, it took me 20 minutes of trying to get that kill. Now on to the good stuff. Amani can cliff in two ways, one better than the other. Upgrading her special ammo from Die in a Fire to All In gives her single boom bolt a nice kick to throw opponents off the edge. The same effect, albeit slightly worse, can be achieved by upgrading your LMB from Hit and Run to Stopping Power, although you need to be much closer. Our friendly neighborhood Forest Warden gets a bit more up close and personal when he cliffs. By upgrading his healing springs with Geyser and then Burst Forth, Voting can bounce foes away with surprising force. Next on our list is Uncle Sven. Upgrading his Elastic Ooze from Sticks to You into Oozing with Confidence launches foes and throws them extremely far. Lining up the shot can be tricky, but if you do, it's oh so satisfying. Our little sweetheart Aisling may look cute on the outside, but she's a monster near the edge of a cliff. Using her focus skill, Aisling can launch people miles into the abyss, and that's a launch, so there's no recovery. Our dear old Granny Griselma cliffs similarly to Aisling. Using her focus skill, she summons a giant hand to launch foes into the abyss. Who said robots don't feel? Whoever did must be lying, because cliffing with HK206 feels great. This robot also has two ways to cliff, and just like Amani, one is better than the other. Upgrading its mortar from Impact Trigger to Percussive Force allows you to blow people away with the explosion. It's a lob projectile, so getting the aim down can be tricky, but when you do, the results don't lie. In a slightly worse but equally interesting method, upgrading Fortify from Siege Mode to Earth Mover lets HK launch foes away while fortified, although positioning this is nearly impossible considering where the enemy needs to be. And now, it's time for the Cliffing Masters! These four heroes have extreme potential to cliff, and I recommend using all of them if you have the chance. Our first Cliffing Master is the Margrave! This behemoth of a Black Knight has the useful ability of being able to cliff while in between the cliff and the enemy. This makes baiting opponents near the edge much easier. Although, I must note that as of the Steam release in July of 2017, Margrave can only cliff heroes with small hitboxes due to a glitch, severely limiting his potential until it's fixed. Now, on to the method. Upgrading his charge from Russian attack to throwback attack lets our fiendish friend grab onto other heroes and throw them over his head. Position it right to send foes flying. The second Cliffing Master is Charnock. This noble Drakor is one of the easiest and best ways to begin your journey into the world of cliffing. One of his strengths is his Tier 1 upgrade Blast Off, which lets him cliff right off the bat. Be careful though, make a wrong move and you might just go over the edge too. Charnock can also cliff by upgrading his Fire Breath from Fire Shelter into Backdraft. Holding the ability spews flames, and when you let it go, it pushes enemies away and off the edge. The hitbox for Backdraft is also very large, so it can catch up to 2 poor souls in one move. Try it out sometime. And now for some tips and tricks for Charnock. Charnock has 2 ways to cliff that can be used in quick succession, so be sure to utilize this to get 2 cliffs in one go. An excellent way to juke out potential cliff targets is to dodge through them and then use your blast off to cliff them. They'll never see it coming. The third cliffing master is Zenobia. This sorceress supreme has a cliff that's just as effective as the amount of practice it takes to land. Upgrading her Wave of Sorrow into Banishing and then Heightened Sorrow gives her Q an instant launch that sends foes off the map with no hope of recovery. And now, some Zenobia tips. Just like with Charnock, dodging through enemies is an effective and deadly way to catch them off guard. Zenobia also has a very interesting level 5 talent. Taking Swift Sorrow sets the cooldown for her wave to just 1 second on hit, letting you get 2 cliffs in quick succession. Our final cliffing master is Wu, the master of all cliffing masters. In order to cliff with Wu, you'll need to take a leap of faith off the edge yourself, tongue lash someone towards you, and then use your RMB jump to recover. This will leave the enemy falling to their deaths, and you with a shiny new ring out badge. Wu can also cliff by using his Whet Your Appetite upgrade. Splash kicking off the edge, landing your tongue, and then splash kicking on will pull foes farther off. Although you have to be careful, because missing your tongue lash will leave you without your RMB and very far off the map. The final way to cliff with Wu is pretty useless, but extremely cheeky. Just Wu's first RMB can technically push people far enough to cliff them, although I wouldn't recommend it. And now for Wu's tips and tricks. I always recommend taking Tongue Tied at level 5 for your talent. It nearly doubles your tongue range and allows you to grab people hiding near their creature on the E point in Ghost Reef, like this. Another good Ghost Reef tip is that if you hide in this corner on either side of the map, you can catch people coming into the point. They'll never know what hit them. And now for some more general tips. Cliffing is risky business and usually involves heading deep into enemy territory. If you miss, you probably won't be able to cliff until your ability goes off cooldown, so make sure to get in and out real quick. Just because you're cliffing doesn't mean the rest of the game isn't happening. Be sure to still help your team out when they need it, and cliff when they don't. The most effective areas to cliff are behind enemy lines. Here, the enemy will be scared of you going for their creatures and will come to attack you. Lure them near an edge to secure your kill. But be careful, you are behind enemy lines after all. Make sure to keep your guard up, and if things get too hairy, get out of there. And now onto the best places to cliff on each map. First on our list is Siren Strand. This icy wasteland is full of interesting places to cliff. There are 2 places that you can cliff post-clash. Here and here. Both are mirror images of each other, and both are equally as effective. Pre-clash on Siren Strand has limited cliffing opportunities, considering that you need to get people pretty far out into the water in order to start dealing massive damage to them. I recommend using these 2 spots right here and here on either side of the map. Now onto Sanctum Falls. This map has plenty of opportunities to cliff pre-clash, but none after clash begins. So make sure that you're taking this into account when you choose to cliff on this map. When cliffing on Sanctum Falls, my favorite places are near the sea point in the middle of the map. Right here is the easiest place to get a cliff if you can bait someone near you. This is especially easy if the enemy controls the sea point and you're constantly poking it while waiting to bait for a cliff. There's also the entirety of these areas where the B and E points used to be. Anywhere in this area is good to cliff, although I like this spot the most. Catch someone coming down the walkway and they'll have no idea you're waiting there ready to cliff them. Nearby is also this area, a prime place to cliff if you can get someone near enough and not have them clip on the rocks. The Ghost Reef is the coup de grace of cliffing maps, and I highly recommend cliffing whenever you get it. On either side of the map, in the C and E points, there is a large area that is totally open to the abyss. This is the best area to cliff in the entire game. You can use the cacti as cover from ranged, and when anybody gets close to you, send them flying. Something I love doing on this map is rushing to the enemy's E-point and trying to cliff someone as soon as the game begins. This can sometimes lead to a First Blood badge, which will give you a nice boost in XP. And that just about does it for the Cliffing Compendium! Whenever a new hero or map is released, a short video will be added to this playlist, detailing how the hero cliffs, or the prime locations on the map to cliff. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this Cliffing Compendium, and found it very informative and useful. Thank you for watching. Hey, I'm the Toadduck Man, and I just thought I'd come in at the end here to thank you all again so much for watching. This took a really long time to make, and I'm so excited to see what you do with this new knowledge. If you want more of me, then stick around. I upload daily videos of variety gaming. Anyway, thanks a bunch, and goodbye.